Noumory Keita is the name everyone in the volleyball world is talking about right now. Even if you don't follow the Italian SuperLega, it's hard to ignore the hype surrounding this young Malian star. As of the release of this video, he's just 24 years old and already the top scorer in multiple leagues. This guy doesn't just attack, he destroys blocks and defenses like he's got no breaks. A bold and charismatic player, Keita is chasing one big dream: to become the best in the world. But while everyone's focused on what he's doing now, there's one part of his story that barely gets mentioned. It's like the volleyball world just skipped the first chapter of his journey. So let's rewind a bit and find out how this star really rose. From the streets of Mali to the courts of the world's strongest leagues. Let's look up to the sky for Noumory Keita, the Malian eagle, who soared from the most unexpected nest and now flies high among volleyball's elite. Today, in your favorite series Play Like a Pro, I'll tell you the story of Noumory Keita and break down the details of his game. Let's go! When it comes to volleyball, Mali is probably the last country you think of. Until recently, their national team couldn't even gather a full roster for the Continental Championship. But in 2021, something changed. For the first time in history, Mali made it to the African Championship. They didn't make it past the group stage, but still finished in 10th place overall, picking up 3 wins in the tournament. The whole country started talking about volleyball, and one name stood out above the rest: Noumory Keita. It actually started way back in 2015 when scouts from Qatar's Al Rayyan club spotted the kid. At the time, they were actively recruiting young African talent for their academy. Keita's first love was basketball. His brother still plays it, but once he stepped on a volleyball court, there was no turning back. His freak athleticism and raw talent were impossible to miss. And yeah, it's more about natural gift than pure grind here. As Konstantin Abayev said on a podcast, Keita's not the type to outwork everyone at practice. He just has that rare ability where things come naturally. Some journalists even compared him to Messi, and not for nothing. Life in Qatar wasn't glamorous. Keita shared a small apartment with 5 other academy players and got a real taste of what it means to chase your dream far from home. That's where his character was forged. In the 2017-2018 season, he was loaned out to Al Sadd. It wasn't the flashiest move, but it led to a big break. One volleyball agent happened to be in Qatar and saw something others hadn't yet: world-class potential. That's when the Malian assassin took a leap of faith and headed to Europe. At just 17, Keita landed in Serbia with the club Mladi Radnik, and immediately became the league's top scorer, averaging around 20 points per match. That performance got him noticed by bigger leagues. But instead of jumping to a major European championship, Keita made a bold choice. He went to Korea. He was picked first overall in the draft, ahead of guys like Aaron Russell and Dawid Konarski. And on top of that, he scored a sweet $300,000 salary for the season. And he proved he was worth every penny. Even though his team, Insurance Stars, didn't win the title, it's hard to blame Keita for that. He was by far the league's top scorer, dropping 50+ points in some matches. And get this, in the finals he scored 57 points. 57! Unreal! After that, it was only a matter of time before he made the jump to one of the top leagues. His next stop? Italy. He joined Verona, a young and ambitious project, kind of like a home for volleyball misfits, a team full of wild energy, a team that gives young talents the space to shine. And that was the perfect fit for his emotional, expressive playing style. Despite getting some tempting offers from Japan, Keita chose to stay with Verona. Here he also got a chance, though not always regularly, to play in his favorite position, outside hitter. And he played a huge role in rewriting Verona's story. A team that next season is aiming for nothing less than the Italian Championship, scoring records in Korea. A record-breaking performance in the Italian Cup. Unstoppable emotion. Wild celebrations. That's Noumory Keita. a guy who grew up idolizing Wilfredo Leon and now is determined to beat him. Alright, now let's take a look at the technical side of his game and see what this monster can actually do on the court. This time, we're starting with offense. Keita can hit effectively from anywhere along the net, but of course that takes some adjustment. As he himself says, if he's been playing as an outside hitter and then gets moved to opposite, it takes a bit of time to get used to the new angles. And in the beginning, he just tries to hit over the block. For beginner players, it might seem like there's no big difference between attacking from the left or right side, but more experienced players know it's not that simple. If we're talking purely about Noumory's preferences, his number one choice is the pipe. That's his favorite play. Maybe that's why he wants to play outside hitter, so he can get the ball more often in zone 6 instead of zone 1. When it comes to attacking only, Keita feels more confident playing outside. That's because in zones 2 and 1 his attacking pattern is basically the same. No matter what kind of set he gets, he always tries to hit at max height. That way, even if things don't go perfectly and he doesn't beat the block clean, the ball will either go over or get a favorable deflection. Even from the back row, the guy somehow manages to jump over the block. When he's hitting from zone 1, he mainly has two go-to directions. One is a deep diagonal into zone 1, usually landing just inside the end line. Given how high he contacts the ball, this shot is almost always safe. Longest diagonal, more vertical space to beat the block and less risk of hitting out. When he goes down the line, you rarely see the ball land super tight to the sideline. He doesn't often use tricky angles. But because blockers usually focus on taking away his cross, that often leaves Keita with tons of space down the line, and when the block in front of him is short by his standards, he's not shy about going straight over the top, even from the back row. At the net, he adds more sharp angles into zone 2, but again, mostly when facing a single block. And here too, he tries to hit at max height, so even if he gets touched by the block, it's more likely to result in a lucky bounce or a block out. Like I said before, Keita feels more comfortable as an outside hitter. The range of attacking options is just way bigger there, which makes him an even more dangerous threat. Not that he wasn't dangerous already. He can go over the block in any direction, crush a sharp cross, hit precision line shots, and even throw in some acrobatic stuff. Basically a complete attacking package. And of course his beloved pipe, where he also has a huge range of options, allowing him to not just be effective, but also put on a show while beating the block. Lately, he started using tips more and more, and with his insanely high contact point, that makes them deadly, straight up lethal. Of course, we've got to break down the technical stuff behind this Malian beast. Let's start with his approach. Keita begins accelerating before the ball even gets to the setter. There's no fixed number of steps. It depends on the situation and how fast the ball reaches the setter. Right away you can see how explosive he is. Every step looks more like a little jump than a regular step. It's super light and bouncy. Then it's straight out of the textbook. A wide powerful penultimate step, a big arm swing back, and then a lightning quick swing forward. His His arm swing doesn't go straight back, it goes slightly out to the side. Honestly, I didn't notice that it affects anything, probably just a personal anatomical quirk. While his hitting arm goes back, the non-hitting arm shoots straight up and acts as a guide until the hitting motion starts. And the actual hit. No surprises there. Clean, powerful. When attacking from zone 1, his approach starts just outside the court, and during the jump his torso stays nearly parallel to the net. It's pretty much the same from zone 2, although if it's off a perfect pass, he tries to get a wider approach. Sometimes in a long rally he even starts his approach from way behind the 3-meter line extension of the court. That's also how his approach from zone 4 usually looks, wide angle, and as he jumps, his torso turns nearly perpendicular to the net. There's one more technical detail. When he attacks from the right side, he tends to rotate his torso more in the direction of the ball, which sometimes leads to him landing almost with his back to the net. With the pipe, it's all straightforward, a straight approach in standard situations, a forward jump and no body rotation on the landing. Oh, and I almost forgot. Keita's got this little Cuban flair in his attack. He leans his upper body to the left when he hits. Not as extreme as Miguel Lopez, but it's definitely noticeable. And speaking of Lopez, I've already made a separate video about him on the channel, so check it out if you haven't yet. Now let's talk about his serve. For some reason, I really want to focus on one specific thing. The way Keita lands inside the court after he serves. This is actually pretty common among pros, but for some reason I hadn't mentioned it before. It just really stood out when watching Keita. So why am I bringing this up? Just look at how deep Noumory lands inside the court after his jump serve. If he gets a good toss, he can land 3 or even 4 meters forward. Cutting down the distance, the ball needs to travel to the other side. Something similar is done by Moni Nikolov. By the way, there's a funny video about that on Coach Donnie's channel. Anyway, here's a random and slightly embarrassing comparison. Sorry in advance. I'm about 30 centimeters shorter than Keita, and just look where I land versus where he does. Even if we hit the ball at the same speed, receivers will have way less time to react to his serve because the flight time is shorter. The ball simply travels less distance. Hopefully that all made sense. Now let's get to the classic stuff we usually cover in this series, starting with his serve ritual. Honestly, there's nothing super detailed or mechanical here like we've seen with some other players. Usually it's just him getting the ball and casually walking up to the service line. One thing that stands out though, once he turns to face the court, Keita bounces the ball anywhere from 5 to 12 times. He usually starts with the ball in his right hand, then switches it over to the left. Then from there, he transfers the ball back into his right hand for the toss. He uses a flat toss with spin in a single plane, no side spin. Like I've said in previous tutorials, the more spin you have like that, the more likely the ball is to dive down right in front of the passer, and the less chance it flies long out the back. Another fun detail, toward the end of the season, you could often see Rok Mojic come up and say something to Keita right before the serve. What do you think he's saying? Let me know in the comments. Little mini-series. What's Rok Mojic telling him? When it comes to serve direction, Keita's approach is pretty simple. It's a direct, powerful weapon meant to cause maximum damage. You're not gonna see much tactical trickery or finesse here. The goal is clear: blast the ball so hard, even a top-tier receiver struggles to handle it. And if things go well, maybe even score an ace. Since his toss isn't perfectly consistent, there's always a bit of variation. He has to adjust to the ball each time, and however he adjusts, that's how the ball ends up flying. Most commonly, his serve lands in zone 6, drifting a bit towards zone 5. But again, it all depends on how he gets under the ball. Tactical serving? Rare. It's either high risk or very high risk. But considering the sheer power he generates, and the shorter ball flight thanks to his deep landing, it's nearly impossible to pass cleanly. Serving into zone 1 is tough for him. Yeah, he does it sometimes, but usually when his toss goes off to the left and he doesn't have time to fix it. And if he tries to force it with his wrist, chances are high he's gonna miss. Let's wrap up with his blocking. On paper, Keita's got the perfect build for it. Amazing wingspan and a crazy vertical. You'd think he'd be a top-tier blocker. But, as it often goes with freak athletes, things don't always translate to elite-level blocking. With Keita, he always tries to go for maximum height, but that's not always the most effective approach. What's more important is picking the right position, pressing over the net, and cutting down the attacker's options. Unfortunately, our guy from Mali does things a bit chaotically. Sure, he can sync up nicely with his teammates when he's not the main blocker, but when he's the reference point, problems start showing up. Most of the time, his takeoff position isn't ideal. Also, his torso position in the air is unstable. That's a real issue for consistent blocking. Yeah, the height is impressive, but attackers can see his hands clearly, and Keita rarely adjusts them mid-air. That gives hitters a pretty good idea of where the open lanes are. In the end, it feels like Keita mostly shuts down high attacks, but leaves a lot of space in every other direction. And smart hitters take advantage of that. So yeah, flashy spikes and crazy serves are awesome, but there's definitely room to grow when it comes to blocking. He's got all the tools, now it's about putting them together. Alright, that's it for the breakdown on Noumory Keita. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, drop a comment, and of course subscribe to the channel. Let me know who you want to see next in this series. As always, I'll go with your suggestions. And as usual, this was Nick with you. Love what you do and success will follow. See you soon. Peace.